On the show today, we'll be talking about gold's breakout, President Trump, and all of you who are sitting on the fence on the American Confidant.
Loading the American Confidant intro.
We have $15 billion in gold in our treasury. We don't own an ounce.
And one of the problems is we don't have the gold. Other places have the gold.
It's called the American dream, but you have to be asleep to believe it. Believe.
The American Confidant.
Hello and welcome to the American Confidant. I'm Jim LaFave, and I'm joined in the studio by Cash and guest by Rick. Later on, he'll be over at the GSI Exchange. We'll have Geneva on the weather, and I want to make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, American Confidant, and that stays up to date on every episode. Also, be sure to like, comment, and share. We want to hear from you, the people. So, speaking of the people, we have the news segment. Geneva, what do we got in the news today?
Thank you, Jim. Today, Deutsche Bank looks to shed a big chunk of Wall Street presence. The troubled German lender has held talks with Citigroup, BPN, and others that could involve sale or transfer of trading technology and any pieces of its prime brokerage business. Deutsche Bank is taking steps to dismantle a pillar of its Wall Street investment bank. The German lender has had discussions with Citigroup Incorporated and also others that could lead to a sale or transfer of parts of its once prized equities business, including operations that serve hedge funds and other big trading customers. Now with the latest with China and Europe versus Trump, President Trump said that China and Europe are playing a big currency manipulation game and pumping money into their own system in order to compete with the United States of America. The president tweeted that we should match and devalue our own dollar to compete with their manipulation. I think whatever the administration decides, it's becoming increasingly clear that the dollar is unsustainably overvalued and compared to its long-term real effective exchange rate. Meanwhile, in Iran, the U.S. has sent an aircraft carrier, B-52 bombers, and F-22 fighters to the region where Iran recently shot down a U.S. military surveillance drone. Comments by President Hussein regarding increasing its enrichment of uranium come as tensions remain high between Iran and the U.S. over the deal, faltering the nuclear deal, which President Trump pulled America from over a year ago. So it's looking pretty serious out there, you guys.
Wow, Iran. Look at that. All we hear, Iran, we hear North Korea. We hear the media saying, look at Trump. Look at how weak he is. Look at him reversing position. What's wrong with him? Why, he doesn't want to bomb Iran? What, he doesn't want to nuke North Korea? Hey, we've got that clip from that moron on CNN, Jake Tapper. Go to clip.
Supported the military strike against Iran. Do you agree that there is a risk that Iran will get the wrong message from the president's restraint?
Restraint. The wrong message from his restraint.
Heaven forbid.
Cash,
restraint.
What? Restraint. God forbid.
Why are we restraining?
Diplomacy. Look at diplomacy. The president's a diplomat, right? Listen to, he's out to, okay, so now, this was on Iran. Now he's over in North Korea, and he looked pretty good. I love that moment. I talked to some people. They stayed up to watch it.
But Jim, he's getting a lot of heat for that. We can't even get credit for diplomacy. That's a real problem.
That's his job, though, isn't it? Just to get out and show that we're all getting along and stuff. You'd think that'd be great. These Democrats hate it.
I thought it was a great opportunity. It was impromptu. He showed up. Kim showed up. It was the first time an sitting American president has ever showed up in North Korea, ever.
It was amazing. I thought it was terrific. And yet, let's listen to what Chuck Schumer had to say about it. Go to tape.
This was one of the worst few days in American foreign policy and American diplomatic history.
Why?
In a long time. It's reality show foreign policy. He wants that photo op. He wants that little hit. And if anyone thinks this doesn't hurt America in the short term, in the long run, they're sadly mistaken.
How does this hurt America in the short and long term? What is he talking about?
This is the most powerful man in the free world. And here he is. He can't even get credit for doing something right. I mean, there was no rockets launched. It was a peaceful settlement, at least an attempt at a settlement. And he showed up impromptu. And you know what? Kim was happy to see him. I think the Democrats have their own agenda here. They certainly don't support his efforts, whether it was to bomb him or to show up and shake his hand. What would you prefer, Jim? Would you rather we just nuke North Korea?
I think so, yes. And I want to vote for Kamala Harris. No. I mean, come on. You know, look, the Democrats have always been behind the greatest wars in history. Look at Operation Whiplash. Look at that nonsense the New York Times ran with. And that's why we bombed Iraq.
Jim, we've got Chuck Schumer saying that this was a photo op. It was more than a photo op. He's keeping the dialogue going. He's keep inviting them to the table. Let's talk. Let's see if we can have a peaceful settlement here. But what? No, he can't even buy a break.
Well, you know what? Donald Trump, we've got 4th of July coming up, and Trump wants to put tanks on the streets in Washington, D.C.
Well,
I mean, you were telling me, well, I don't know, Jim, I don't know if the streets can support him. And Trump made a comment.
Jim, if the Democrats would support Trump, we would have infrastructure repair. We'd have streets that could support a tank.
Well,
we don't even have that.
What's wrong with some rockets going off? See some jets going up, they fly them over football games? I mean, this stuff used to be okay, right?
It's a big show, but, nonetheless, I mean, let's do it.
Well, look, what are the banks up to? Hey, let's give Rick a call. We're going to give Rick a call. Rick's on the trading floor at the GSI exchange. Rick, are you on the line?
Yes, Jim, how are you?
What's going on?
Well, it's been a very busy day. We've seen gold on the rise right now. It's up $32. It's currently trading at $1,423 an ounce. Our phones have been ringing off the hook. We have people that are concerned about protecting their retirement accounts, taking cash positions, and delivery of gold. It is really a spectacular day. And all this is happening because we don't have a trade agreement with China. The truce between the U.S. and China wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for the markets to read into the fact that right now there could be a deal on the rise. So what's happening is that you have economists and analysts out there saying, like Rubini out there, he's saying that this is the beginning of the fragmentization of globalization. What does that mean? Well, that means that we have a new trade war, a Cold War that is taking place between U.S. and China and between the U.S. and Iran. So we've got a tech and trade war happening that is going to have a negative impact on technology, manufacturing, industry, and financial services. This is the biggest fear factor right now that's driving the markets up in metals, specifically gold. We're going to a safe haven asset class, Jim. Unfortunately, what is going to happen right now is that this recession, they're calling it the beginning of a deep recession, is going to take place right now, first in China, then in emerging markets. And these supply side shocks that we're going to feel in the global economy are going to come from trade and tech and from oil, because of our tensions in the Middle East with Iran.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that is what Rubini's trying to basically get across, that we have high debt ratios with high debt deficits, and so it's going to force central banks in the long run to begin quantitative easing again and literally adopt helicopter Bernanke's theory that they got to print more money.
It's a race to the bottom. There it is.
Exactly. And what happens when that occurs? We begin to see the dollar to lose value, and that's what's happening. The dollar index right now is starting to go down. We're seeing the stock market begin a stagflation, and so we're starting to see gold take off to the next level. I want to show you a clip real quickly from Rubini so you can hear what he means.
The risk of a Cold War on tech and trade and geopolitically between U.S. and China. I think that what has happened in Osaka is not a success. The two sides.
Well, what he's trying to say is that basically right now this Cold War is just about to begin. We are on the beginning.
Rick, let me ask you something really quick. Cash, you're on this line too. I've heard something, Wall Street chatter. Now, Rick, you know all about that. You're inside these guys' minds and stuff. Wall Street right now is freaked out about the yield curve inversion. It's been sitting, I've read today, it's been sitting under 3 months. It's been sliding, and that 3 month being under that on that yield curve inversion flattening, right? 3 months, right, where that 10-year Treasury is getting less interest than a two-month note. What that means, the economy's flattened out, and what that also means is that we're going to enter a recession.
That's true. Right now, you have the bond yield, the treasury yields right now down 2%. And this is bad. Very bad news for the dollar.
Rick, thanks for joining us. We're going to catch up to you on the next episode. Thanks for the insights.
Thank you
stay
for
well
having
out
me
there
here.
and sell that gold. Cash, what do you got on this?
Well, I think it's incredible. But you know what? I'd like to give us Props to our sponsor, GSI, for bringing such incredible news. GSI Exchange, a leading precious metals dealer helping to protect your retirement accounts and delivering precious metals straight to your door. Contact GSI Exchange at 800-474-9159 or visit them on the web at gsiexchange.com.
Yeah, this news on the gold is just amazing. Cash, where are we going from here? What's happening? What's going on with this fear index you were talking about earlier?
There's a lot of people sitting on the fence right now, and they're scared to move into the market. And quite frankly, part of the impetus to buy gold is the growth of our negative yield government debt. Rick talked about it briefly, this yield curve inversion.
Yeah.
In some countries such as Germany, it's no small problem. The total volume of such securities has just hit a record $12.5 trillion this year. Negative yields mean that investors are guaranteed to get back less money than they put in the game, and a smaller amount than they actually put in. But here's the big thing. It costs investors real cash to insure their money when they put it into gold. It's known as an opportunity cost. Well, right now, gold is so cheap and the markets are at such a high, your opportunity cost is minimal. We expect to see gold skyrocket from here. In fact, we're looking at gold at well over $1,700, possibly by the end of this year. That's the next forecast. Negative and low yields remove the opportunity cost from holding gold. And this is something that people need to consider right now.
Cash, we were talking earlier. I asked you, hey, what, you know this stuff. When was the biggest increase in history? 1 year increase in the history of gold. When was that?
The biggest the biggest increase.
One day
increase was
a
$90 increase in the price of gold. Literally, it went up 58% in one day, and that was September 11th, 2008. 58%.
2008.
Jim, that was the last recession. And, we're right back there again, Jim.
Didn't the market crash 3 weeks after that gold move?
3 weeks.
Wow.
We're looking at gold right now is about to pop once again.
How does gold go up 11.2% in one day?
Yes.
How does that go up that one day and then 3 weeks later the market crashes?
Jim, the dollar was on its deathbed. It was dying. Right now, the dollar's sitting at 96 basis points.
Can it go up?
Not much, Jim. We're almost at 100. That would push all other currencies out of the trading basket. You know what a healthy dollar is, Jim? A healthy dollar, and I've said this before on the show, a healthy dollar is 84 basis points. We're at 96 basis points. Yep. Something fundamental I'd like to just talk about for our listeners' benefit is when the dollar is this strong, gold prices are cheap. So at $1,400 for gold right now, that's literally cheap.
Yeah, it's not because the dollar's so high. You're right. It's not like the dollar's sitting down here with the gold
Jim,
price.
Jim, the dollar has to come down.
Wow.
In fact, President Trump is calling for a competitive dollar, which means he wants to bring the value of the dollar down. A healthy dollar at 84 basis points means a lot of growth for gold. We're going to see it. It's going to happen, Jim. In 2008, the dollar almost died. It went to 72 basis points. It skyrocketed gold. Just think about it, Jim. We're at 96 basis points right now. And in order to balance, we've got to come down to 84. That's a 12 basis point slide. It's huge for gold. We could easily see gold run above $2,700, perhaps even top that. We're in the very near future, Jim. We're right there on the bubble.
Why are people sitting on the fence, some people, right
Jim,
now?
It boggles the mind. A good balance for all of those people who are trying to figure out a ratio. I often get asked, well, how much should I buy? When should I buy? Buy it now. And if you're wondering about how much gold to add to your portfolio, a good formula, and this is just a standard rule of thumb for anybody who's a little bit skittish, 1/3 of your total portfolio into gold, 1/3 to remain liquid in some sort of liquid asset, cash is preferred, and 1/3 in an engine of growth. A third, and a third. And for anybody who's just not comfortable committing a third of their portfolio, start out small. Come in with 20%, but keep your liquidity because you're going to want to add more. And not only that, but when the bottom drops out of the stock market, your liquidity will help you pick up those bargain basement stocks right away.
I'm reminded of a great procrastinator, and his name was Hamlet.
Hamlet.
That's correct, And he was a fence sitter. He was a guy that couldn't make his mind up. He saw it all around him, The ghost even actually coming, look, I did your father, all right? I poured poison in his ear. I mean, what more do you need, right?
That's right. Get off
like
the fence.
these Democrats, I'm getting poison in the ear with these debates.
Oh, gosh.
God, I got to take a hot shower after that just to slap myself, remind myself I'm human after listening to that drivel.
Jim,
anyway, Hamlet said, thus conscience does make cowards of us all. and thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pitch and moment with this regard their currents turn awry and lose the name of action. Make sure you give us a call at the GSI Exchange. Carl,
GSI.
I don't know how to get a hold of us.
We want to thank you again for listening to The American Confidant, brought to you by GSI Exchange, a leading precious metals dealer helping to protect your retirement accounts and delivering precious metals straight to your door. Contact GSI Exchange at 800-474-9159 or visit gsiexchange.com.
Thank you, Cash. What a wonderful broadcast. It was great to join you. Rick, you're listening in. We'll be calling you on the next broadcast. Geneva, thanks for joining us and giving us such a great news show. And on behalf of myself, Jim LaFave, I want to thank you for listening to The American Confidant. Well, she's passionately lean, yeah, yeah, and she's passionately blue. Yeah.